Guys and gals, you won't believe this. This is the old house I used to live in North Lauderdale, Florida. I'm talking about the 1970s. This was my old home that I used to live in North Lauderdale, Florida. And this is my message going out to little Mikey. Little Mikey, if you see this video, if you're watching this video, do you remember how I came to your house one day and I lost that Chewbacca's bowcaster toy to the Chewbacca gun for Star Wars? Remember how we used to laugh about that, little Mikey? You're the only real friend I had down there in North Lauderdale, little Mikey. I don't know if you remember me, but you're the only real friend I had because you're the only one that never picked on me. You're a good friend, little Mikey. And you remember how when my parents, back in the 70s, they used to watch the Phil Donahue show. Remember that, everybody? In the 70s, they would always watch the Phil Donahue show and the Mike Douglas show. Y'all remember that? And of course, we all got to remember the Brady Bunch. Everybody loved the Brady Bunch in the 1970s. That was a hit show. Well, do you remember this house I used to live in North Lauderdale? I remember around the corner, they had a beautiful 7-Eleven store. I don't know if it's still there. I used to go to that 7-Eleven store to buy my favorite comic books and my magazines, my comic magazines. I would buy a Pizzazz magazine. How many of y'all remember Pizzazz magazine? That was popular in 1970s Florida, Pizzazz. I remember that one issue of Pizzazz I had. The cover story was about Sean Cassidy. Y'all remember Sean Cassidy? He had that brother named David Cassidy who was in the Partridge Family. Yep. Y'all remember the Cassidys, the Cassidy brothers, Sean Cassidy and David Cassidy. They were pop stars back then in the 1970s. Yeah, so anyway, I remember the old 7-Eleven store. And I remember distinctly, we used to live 10 minutes away from the beach. We'd always go to the beach. It was like 10 minutes away from us. There used to be those huge drawbridges that would go up in the air, and we'd have to wait. The drawbridges went back down before we crossed the bridge and went to the beach we went to, the part of the ocean. And I just remember, oh my gosh, you won't believe this. I left Florida in the 70s. I mean, I was so sad because I remember I had all sorts of kid friends back then. Back then, we were inseparable. I had all sorts of friends. We were like the little rascals. I had all sorts of friends back then. I don't mean to get chill bumps about this, everybody, but I hated to move away from North Lauderdale. I remember my dad got a better job offer, and when we moved away, I was so sad. I was sad to leave all my friends from North Lauderdale. Back then, we didn't have to worry about people trying to hurt us. We didn't have to worry about kidnappers trying to steal us away from our parents. We used to play outside all the time in the streets. We didn't have to worry about all that bad stuff going on back then in the 1970s. We used to play baseball in the streets. How many of you remember that? We used to play baseball in the streets. We used to ride our bicycles. We'd make ramps and pretend we were Evil Knievel. Remember that, everybody? Everybody who remembers we used to play Evil Knievel. That stuntman, Evil Knievel, we used to build those ramps. We used to jump on those ramps with the bicycles back then. I miss 1970s Florida. If anybody remembered me, I used to live in this house in North Lauderdale, Florida. It's in the area of... let me get this for a minute. I found a document today. The area of Southwest 6th Avenue in North Lauderdale, Florida. I don't remember you, but I used to live there. Me and my parents and my two brothers used to live there. Southwest 6th Avenue in North Lauderdale on that street. You probably remember who I am now since I told you that area. But I wanted you all to know I miss the area so bad. I miss my old friends in North Lauderdale. I missed the times I used to have as a kid. I remember we went to the drive-in movie theater. We saw a Grease movie, me and my family, at the drive-in movie theater. And things were so safe back then that I was allowed to go to the snack bar and the swing set area. And it was just a time of our lives back then. I mean, we didn't have to worry about kidnappers taking us away back then. We didn't have to worry about all the bad things that would happen. And I remember I used to go to the snack bar area and swing the swing set while my mom and dad were watching the movie. I remember one of them was Grease, and I remember we saw Star Wars, the very first Star Wars for the very first time at that drive-in movie theater in North Lauderdale, Florida. Do y'all remember that? Star Wars was actually shown at the drive-in movie theater in North Lauderdale, Florida in the 1970s. I don't know the name of the I don't remember the name of the theater, but I remember it was a drive-in theater off of North Lauderdale, Florida. So, little Mikey, I remember you were one of the best pals I had. I don't remember your last name. Little Mikey, I remember what a good friend you used to be to me, and I remember some other people, but I don't want to mention their names, but I distinctly remember you, little Mikey, because we had a fandom of Star Wars together. We're both big Star Wars fans, you and me, little Mikey, but I just want to say, do y'all remember the 7-Eleven store around the corner? It was such a great place. We'd get our candy. We'd get all our candy there, and or comic book magazines. Back then, they didn't have comic book stores, so they used to have actual comic book racks, like at 7-Eleven, and we used to get our comic books for the comic book racks at 7-Eleven store. That was like the 7-Eleven store was like a fantasy store to me, because that's where I used to go the most time. Me and my brothers used to walk my friends, we walked to 7-Eleven store on our bicycles, or we'd walk there. We get our favorite comic books, Pizzazz magazine, whatever. And I remember we had alligators in our backyard. Y'all probably know who I am now. Actual alligators in our backyard, and that's pretty wild. We feed them marshmallows. We would actually feed the alligators marshmallows. It was a wild and crazy time, but I'm telling you, we had orange trees in our backyard. We had grapefruit trees in our backyard. And I remember how beautiful the palm trees were, and still are, in North Lauderdale, Florida. I just want you all to know, all of you who were my real friends growing up in Florida in the 1970s, if you see this video, I miss you guys, and I'm sorry we got separated. I'm sorry the differences of opinion these days, but I'm sorry about I had to move away. I love all you guys I grew up with as kids. We all used to play as kids. I love all of you, and I guess I'll see y'all later, and I'll see y'all on the funny pages.